All right, so we have Dr. Anissa Jones coming in from Georgia. Luke and I are coming in from the beautiful state of Colorado. This is episode what number, Luke?
This is episode 235.
Episode 235 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Dr. Nisa, thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your podcast. I've heard so many great things about it. I'm so super excited to be here today.
Well, we're really happy to have you with us today. And I know that people are going to learn a great deal from you, and they're going to be able to have some takeaways about chiropractic. And this is going to be shown to a larger audience, which would include our audience with Chiro Hustle. We're going to be sharing it to multiple groups and multiple pages today. And when you share it to your family and your patients or practice members, they're going to be able to see exactly a snapshot of why you do what you do and why you put your heart and soul into it for over 20 years and how you became the doctor that you are today. And starting out with that, I don't know this story, so I'm really excited to hear it. Why did you get into chiropractic? And maybe you can share with our audience today your chiropractic story.
Sure. Okay. So, how did I get into chiropractic? Well, I always like to say that chiropractic chose me. Chiropractic came where I was and pulled me out of my despair, and here I am today. I will tell you that it was actually my grandmother. She saved my life. As a small child, I had the good fortune of growing up with my grandmother. She was a very strong, powerful woman. In my eyes, she could do anything. And she also was my first investor. So everybody always asks, how did you become a chiropreneur? How did you end up not only being a chiropractor, but how did you end up becoming an entrepreneur? It's because my grandmother was my first investor. She gave me the opportunity to kind of create my own first company while I was in high school. Now, mind you, it was just a mere mobile candy store, but it was my mobile candy store, and I loved it. And she gave me $50, and she said, "Do what you will. You don't have to pay me back, but I just want to see what you do with it." And in a year's time, turned $50 into $5,000 selling candy to other students in the school. Now, mind you, it wasn't what we were supposed to be doing. We were there to learn, but hey, you need to have a little pick me up. Come on over to Mrs. Candy Stop. So my grandmother always also was a huge practitioner, believer in homeopathic remedies and methods. So I got to watch her kind of in the kitchen mix all this stuff up, and if it will fix anything from like a sore throat to you scrape on your knee. Now, mind you, my grandmother was Jamaican, so she had a lot of island things that she could clean on. And I just would just be so amazed. And she would say stuff like this, girl, we're born with everything our body needs to heal itself. Sometimes it just needs a little help. And so just hearing that, I believed her. That's how much reverence I had for my grandmother. And then imagine my surprise when I get to chiropractic school and they echo that same thing. I'm like, what? Why y'all stole that from my grandmother? That's not knowing chiropractic been around at that time well over 100 years. So it's like you stole that from my grandmother, but I really thought that I was going to be an OBGYN. I had already gotten accepted into the Medical College of Georgia, but Michael Harris, and this is where we're going to get into chiropractic came and got me. Michael Harris was a recruiter for Life University. His job was to get more Black students into chiropractic. He came down to the HBCU where I was attending, Beaufort Valley State University, and he had a nice little table out. And there I was walking right by that table because I was not interested. I had already knew what my path was going. And he was like, "Hey, young lady." I was like, like, he's not talking to me. And he was like, "Come over here for a sec." And I came over and he was like, "What are you going to be doing for the rest of your life?" That's exactly the question that he asked. "What are you going to be doing for the rest of your life?" I said, I'm going to medical school next year. I'm going to be an OBGYN. He was like, well, sounds like you already have a plan, but would you be interested in coming to Life University for about 2 weeks and just kind of giving it a shot? All right. And so that's what I did. Now, mind you, my grandmother was taking us to the chiropractor as children. So I knew what chiropractic was, but I really didn't know what chiropractic was. I knew chiropractic from a patient's perspective, but I didn't know actually what was going on. I knew that I didn't get sick. I knew that I wasn't having some of the other issues biomechanically as my other classmates. I knew that we were different, but I didn't understand it until I got to chiropractic school and became a chiropractor. So I took these 2 weeks and I went to like university and I was like, okay, I'll just sit here and just enjoy this free vacation via Life University. Thank you, Sid Williams. That's the kind of attitude that I had. Got there, they were talking about the lasting purpose. They were talking about, your body innate ability. It was talking. They started talking about the very thing my grandmother said. We're born with everything. Our body needs to heal itself, and that's when I stopped the lady in the middle of the class and said, "Hold up, do you know my grandmother?" And they all died laughing when I said it. I'm like, my grandmother used to say that to me, and I knew I was in the right place. It was such a full circle moment for me. I was like, "Oh my God, I am with my tribe." I finally found my center. And so I got there. I did great. I graduated top of my class, and everything was fantastic. And I got out. My grandmother was there. It was a proud moment for her. She was like, "Ah, I'm so glad that you're no longer a professional student." And because that was her little nickname for me, my professional student, because I had, got a master's, you did this. Like, she finally has terminated a degree, in her mind. So, because she never thought I'd finish, she thought I was going to always be in school for something. And so it was just so amazing that I even presented her with her own degree because of everything that she did for me. I gave her a PhD. She got her very own PhD. It's called the Putting Her Through degree, because if it wasn't for her, I would not have made it. I would not have succeeded. And guys, you would have thought that I gave my grandmother $1 million on that day when I presented her with that degree. It looked just like mine, but it said PhD, and she was so proud. So I get home. I decided to come back home and to open up my practice. But then I had to take a pause, and I was like, did I really get the hands-on experience that I needed with some of those, what I call really tough, severe cases? And I felt like I didn't get that. So I wanted to associate with someone. Really wasn't really understanding all of that. Nobody really takes you under their wings and tell you about how all of that works. So I came up through the time of the yellow pages. Yeah, guys, it's called the yellow pages. Nobody used it, but they used to say, "Let your fingers do the walking through the yellow pages." And so at that time, it was about 27 chiropractors practicing here in Maconville, and I literally called them all. No, 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 no. We're not interested. We don't need an associate. One even had the audacity to say that I could come and clean his office, but I couldn't be his associate. And then I went and I got to number 27, called number 27, and I was like, "I'm interested in being an associate." And they were like, "Well, I've never had an associate before, and I don't know if I'm interested in having one, but you sound really interesting. I'll let you come into my office and talk to me." Got there to the office, did my whole spiel, yeah, I graduated top of my class and blah blah blah. I was the secretary, I was the president of this club, and did my whole little resume, put all my little papers out so he could see and show and tell. And he was like, well, I've never had an associate before. And he went all down this little, sounded like really negative pathway. I went to picking up my papers and gathering them with all of the tears of the 26 people before me that told me no, and went to the door. And then he was like, where are you going? I said, well, you said you've never had an associate before. And he was like, until now. And so that's just a story in itself about perseverance, because 27, I called all of them. The last one said yes. And I was so happy. And I remember that. I remember running out of there, running to my car, crying like a little baby, saying, oh my God, what if I had just stopped? What if most people would have said, okay, after maybe about 5 or 10, they were like, okay, it's not going to work for me in the city. I'm just going to go somewhere else and do something else. So who knew? So I associated with that doctor for years. An awesome experience. They taught me so much. Didn't care that I was only making $25,000 a year doing it. I felt like it was an extension of my education. Heck, I was paying them to teach me. So heck, I felt like I was winning. This person is teaching me all this, and they're giving me $25,000 on top of it. I was the winner. I was the champion. All right, because I would have been there for free because of the knowledge that I was getting. It was invaluable. It was like a whole nother degree for me. And I, after a year, I felt like it was time for me to go out on my own and do what I needed to do. So who knew? I didn't know when I opened up my practice that I was going to be the first person of color to practice in my city. Who knew that? Who knew that I was going to be a Black History Moment every time February comes around? That I get more business because they showcase me on TV as Black History Moment. But guys, let me tell you something that I'm not proud of. I'm going to go ahead and tell you and put this out in the air. It's something that was just really the unthinkable. After practicing for 3 years, I lost my $1 million practice. I lost $1.5 million. And it was all because I allowed another person to take everything from me that I worked so hard for. And everybody asked, well, how did you do that? Well, I trusted somebody else to do my books and do my stuff like we do. And because I was so concentrated on being a really good doctor, but I wasn't concentrated on being a good business woman. So I allowed someone else to take care of those things for me, not knowing that they were quite frankly stealing from me. So I remember the day when I had to pack up my first office. I remember what the temperature was outside. I remember what the trash can smelled like, because we had to get everything from the back, in the back alley of a shopping center. You know how you have your trash dumpster back there. The truck was parked next to it, so I could smell the trash in the alley. I had to pack all my life up that day and had to do it with two people that I really didn't know very well. That's how bad it had gotten. And all I could really hear was my grandmother in my ear saying, girl, you're better than this. You know, it really wasn't like it was more, girl, you're better than this. So I could hear her say that. And the thing that all I could think about, because that was really rock bottom for me, it's like, what do you do when something like that happens? Most people would give up and say, okay, I tried, I lost, goodbye. But I got some fast acting tenacity. I'm like tenacity. I'm so tenacious. And I said, okay, if I could do this in this short period of time and scale my business like this, let's start over. Let's rebuild. And that's what I did. So I rebuilt my practice. I figured out the stuff that worked. I looked at the things that didn't work, learned my lesson from that. And I tell you, I can almost guarantee you that that's the reason why I decided to get into consulting and coaching, because I did not want those costly mistakes that happened to me to happen to anybody else. I wanted to show other chiropractors that you can have a successful practice. You can scale your business to 6 to 7 figures really quickly and not make the mistakes that I made, and so that you don't have to go down the same rabbit hole that I did. And that's what I do. I think that the goal, and it's still my goal each day, is to make sure that I'm creating a hassle free environment for my patients so they can concentrate totally on getting really totally fused about their health care. That's what I do all day long. And so when your systems are working well, and you have good people that are working your systems, you don't have to worry about whether or not you're in a position to give good health care to your folks. And so that's kind of my story as it relates to chiropractic and why I love what I do each day. It reminds me so much about my love for my grandmother.
That's a great story. So, do you have any favorite motivational quotes or mantras that you live by, or any words of wisdom that just keep you fired up all the time?
You know what? It's gonna sound so narcissistic, and I guarantee you that I am not. But I am my own cheerleader. I stand in the mirror each morning and I look at myself because these are thing tools that I have to really do to keep myself grounded. Because people can, when other people see your success, they're like they have this mystique about you. But I know who I am, and I know how hard it was for me to do and to get everything that I have each day. So I have to look at myself in the mirror and I say, you know what, you're unique. You are a blessing to this world. You are the best because you deserve the best, because you are the best. And I tell myself that every single day so that I don't get jaded in my perspective, so that I stay positive in everything that I do, and knowing that this is a gift that I have been given, that is a responsibility that I have to share with the world, and I have to do right by it. And I cannot take it for granted. I have to have my attitude for gratitude. It is innate. It's a part of me. I have to do that because if I don't, I will treat it like it is nothing and I'll lose it like I did the first time.
Well, listening to your passion, number one, you're an incredible communicator. Number two, you're incredibly beautiful. Number
Thank you.
three, I think you have the capacity to help so many more people. And you're doing such an amazing job after 2 decades of your career. And I just want to acknowledge you and congratulate you for the things that you've accomplished. And the comeback story is the future that most people need to pay attention to the most. And when people realize that the comeback is really the win, it's not always going to be the first try. And I just wanted to connect a few of the dots for the conversation. Is first things first, the women are the decision makers for the family on the healthcare choices for the children and for the men in the family. So when your grandmother got you into chiropractic at a young age, yeah, your grandmother was the decision maker for the family and set precedents for the way that people took care of each other and the way that they got services provided to them for their health care. So that's a really awesome thing that you mentioned about how it was just like a natural thing for you to understand that. And that's why, when people think about it, full family care is important because it has an impact on the future. It has an impact on the whole family unit, and it keeps people healthy. And that's the part that most people don't realize is you either pay for health today or you pay for sickness tomorrow. And if you invest and you put deposits into your health consistently, you have a better quality of life. And I think that that's really one of the things that most people are conscious of is they have the idea that if they make deposits into their accounts, they can save some money. But they don't think about if they make deposits into their health that they can stay better quality of life. And I know that's one of the assessments that chiropractors do is they check and see what are the activities of daily living and how do those assessments like equate to quality of life. So I think that when we think about the family unit, we have to think about from I call it cradle to grave care, is that you take care of people from day one to day last,
Right.
and that people are going to have a better quality of life when they're under great chiropractic care. One of the other things I wanted to touch on is Grant Cardone would tell people that if you want to get somebody to lend you money, like an institution or a bank, go ask 9 or 10 of them, because
Right.
the first 8 might tell you no, but the ninth and 10th will say yes. So persistence and tenacity, yeah, it comes into the business of anything, that if you want to succeed bad enough, you're going to ask enough people, and you might get 25 no's or 26 no's, but that 27th is going to be a yes. And that's really what we have to focus on when it comes to being an entrepreneur, when it comes to us getting great guests. Like, we got Grant Cardone on our show. We got Les Brown on our show. Like, when you set the vision and you are saying to yourself, I'm going to get this person, like, it don't matter. Like, they're going to be on the show. Bruce Lipton, he's going to be on this show. Like, when you think of Joe Dispenza, yeah, we're going to interview Joe Dispenza. Like, when you want the best, you get the best. And when that comes to your business plan and business modeling, that's what's going to happen around you too. When you have that vision, you tell yourself these things, it is all going to happen. And the last thing I guess I wanted to ask you is, what was it like to be at Life University when Sid Williams was there?
Oh, it was amazing. Oh my God, he's so fun. He would stop you in the hallway and say, "Let me see your posse form." It was so fun. And he was so good to us. And I know that when I came through, it was a part of a huge initiative of his to diversify the profession. He knew early on that we needed more women in chiropractic. We needed more diversity in chiropractic. So he was very inclusive leader. And I do know that during the time that I was coming through, um, he I'll tell you this. He was really getting to the point where he still knew what was going on, but he could get in a daze. That's the best way that I can say it. And it happened at our graduation. When we had graduation December '97, he stopped the whole entire graduation when I came on stage to talk, and it took one of the other professors kind of coming up and say, "Hey, you could connect with her. You can connect with her after graduation." He took that. I think that's how special we all were for him. It was just to kind of say, "Hey." Well, after we took that nice little picture, he was like, "Hey, where are you gonna go after this? Where are you gonna practice? What are you gonna do? I have a doc down there that you may want to connect with. Blah blah blah." We're in the middle of graduation. No, we could have had that conversation anytime. But guess what? That made graduation for me. It made it so super special that he thought enough of me to stop the whole thing to have a good conversation with me right on the stage. And it's so funny because my classmate Stephen Jones was right behind me, and it was so funny. By the time we got back to the seat, he was like, "Hey, how did you get the whole graduation to stop?" I said, "Because I'm." But he's amazing. He was an amazing man. He was an amazing man. It was great to just to smell the same air that he did.
That's beautiful.
So, how do you think the world would change if everyone saw chiropractors regularly when needed?
Oh, I think the world would be so much better. I really believe that chiropractic should be your first portal of care. And I believe that healthcare should be like a ladder. You have a starting point to care. And when you have a conservative doctor, one that's going to be more holistic, taking natural approaches that your body can receive and love, and now your body gets the opportunity to do things on its own. I think that is your first cycle. And then once that cycle exhausts itself, maybe we need to do some other measures. Maybe we need to introduce some herbs, Chinese medicine, supplements into the program to see how your body reacts to something that's more whole food in relation to its system. And then once that exhausts and gotten into something a little bit more extreme or emergency state for your body, then we can get into what my allopathic counterparts can do for you so that they can definitely save your life. So I think that it takes more education for that, and that's one of my core values in my office is I want to educate the world about chiropractic care and wellness. So how do you do that? You have to do that. At the time when I started out, in my mind, it was having conversations, one person at a time, head to head, toe to toe, and talk to them about it and what you do. And I would just stop people all the time in Walmart. It didn't matter. Walmart, Target, Hardee's, Kroger. I'm going to stop them and we're going to talk about what I did and how chiropractic could save them and save their lives. And I probably was walking around like a fanatic, and they probably like, "Oh, here comes Dr. Anissa. She's gonna talk about chiropractic. She's gonna talk about nothing else." And but now we have the World Wide Web at our disposal. We have all of these more wonderful opportunities and platforms to get our message out to the world so that we can tell them that how we can add life to their years through our holistic approach. I think that is amazing, and so each day I don't take it for granted how I am able to get out there, tell them the tale so that we can create raving fans about what chiropractic has to offer and how quality of care it is to the world. That is what I do each day. And I know that I have some wonderful brand ambassadors out there that are telling people the same thing that I've kind of taught them over the years about chiropractic. And it's very evident in the fruit of what my office is having to provide for the Middle Georgia area.
I love your passion. I love the idea that you are inclusive of the full medical arena, and it's not us against them,
Right.
but it's least invasive first. And this is a Les Brown quote. He said, uh, the medical profession wants to cut it out, burn it out, or drug it out, where chiropractors want to heal the body with their adjustments. And I think that there's so much value when people understand that you should have two doctors in your life, one to keep you healthy and one to save you from dying,
Right.
and that the chiropractor can do both. But the chiropractor is also, like you said, a port of entry that can take people in and nurture them with the healthy habit lifestyle. And then if people have gone too far or have some type of emergency crisis, there's the opportunity to network with other types of providers. And I think that that's the part where we have to re-educate everybody, not only the public, but we have to re-educate the doctor system.
Right.
And we have to tell them that, hey, um, y'all are in this together. And I think that that's where we have to have professional um, support within the medical arena. And actually, probably the people that are out there doing the other cut it out, drug it out, burn it out systems are getting chiropractic care.
They are.
They,
They are.
they have to build a professional bond with chiropractors again, because it wasn't popular for a long time for chiropractors and the other medical professionals to support each other, because that wasn't the agenda for big medicine.
Right.
They wanted a disconnect with the practitioners. So that's why we're at where we are today. But had they really pushed for unity of diversity when it came to the practice models, we would have a whole different health model, and it would be a care of health system rather than a health care system. And we'd have a care of health agenda rather than a healthcare agenda. So I think really if we flipped the wording around just a little bit and learned how to create professional relationships within the doctor world, the chiropractor would be revered in a whole different light, and they would be supported with a whole different approach. And we'd get more people going to chiropractic college and coming out of school with a high level of success rate. And we would have a whole different world where people would support the profession. And, journalists like Luke and I, we would have a whole different approach within this paradigm. And we would be on TV. We'd have shows on TV where we would be talking about the miracles, expect miracles show. We'd have a show talking about how to expect miracles with chiropractic for your family. and that would be a featured program, and people would see that instead of the doctors, and they
Right,
would see the chiropractors. And I
right,
think that that's a positioning that what we're talking about, and why I feel like our message is so necessary to connecting the chiropractic message to the larger audience. Like you said, we have the World Wide Web at our fingertips right now, and everybody's scrolling and everybody's watching. So if we can create great content that can connect the chiropractic message and narrative to people, the other side of the table is going to start to learn that chiropractic is safe, it's affordable, and it's effective, and they love people and they love other practitioners too.
right. And it's truly our responsibility. I really believe it is our responsibility to educate the world about it. I'm constantly saying, as a chiropractor, I am a primary care provider. You don't need a referral to see me, so you can come straight to me first. And I hold a special thing, a special thing that only I can do as a chiropractor. No other doctor can do what I do. And that is, I have the ability to diagnose and treat subluxation. No other doctor does that. That's what makes me unique. That what makes me special. And because of that, I'm able to kind of see what this subluxation is doing to the overall environment of you, Universe Anissa, Universe Jim, Universe Luke. And now I can now offer other things on how we get everything to work well as I am correcting that subluxation. That is so powerful. And sometimes we lose our way and we forget about that one special thing that we're able to do that no other practitioner can do. And that is that definitely that we're able to diagnose and treat subluxations.
And then you adjust somebody,
That's
you
right.
turn their lights on,
That's right.
they see better, they hear better, and then they have babies.
Right.
And and they their drop foot goes away,
Low
their
life changes.
low back pain changes, their arms
Right.
don't go numb no more,
Right.
and they're like, "What'd you do?"
Right.
Well, I removed the subluxation
Right.
and I let the body heal naturally from above down, inside out.
That's right.
And I do that. That's what makes you, like, special. You are right, and very unique.
Mhm.
And it's a way to give people their life back.
That's right. That's right. That's that cape you. That's that cape you get to put on. I'm subluxation healer. It's sort of like that. So I definitely agree. That we should be out more on the forefront, because the measures that people are seeing to me are at the top of the ladder. And once you get to the top of the ladder, it's so hard to come back down. Sometimes you can't come back and once you reach that pinnacle of that ladder. So it's just about getting out there, explaining very well what you're doing, and doing it from a heart perspective and not so here. And so that's why I had to learn very very quickly when I express myself to my patients about what I do. Make it so that if it's the 4-year-old that you're taking care of, the fourth grader, the 40-year-old, or the 90-year-old, that message resonates with each and every one of them. That way, you don't have to have another speech for each age group. And the more simple and caring that is, it definitely will resonate with the world.
So where do you see chiropractic going in the next 20 years or so?
Exactly like what Jim just said. We're going to be more front and center in the stage, and it's almost like what I say. I'm a football girl, so I'm just going to throw that out there. When I talk to my staff, I talk to them in the terms of football. This is one of those times where we have a wonderful opportunity to not take our foot off the gas as it relates to the message of chiropractic. Because if we keep putting our foot on the gas with this thing, you will see a show called The Chiropractors on television. You will see more comments about chiropractic in television and on the movies. You will see people portraying chiropractors in film and television. you will see the message out there. You will see more movies being made about people like Sid Williams and his contribution to our great profession as well as to this world. And you may even see a wonderful little story about a little girl from Macon, Georgia, named Dr. Anissa out there. So it's just about getting that message out there and everybody being so focused on letting the world know what we do because people get it. This is what amazes me. So it's like you want to hold on to that nugget, but when you tell somebody, it's like boop, they get it. It makes sense. Yeah, the body's smart. It knows what to do. It just got kinked up a little bit. So let's get the kink out so it can do what it's supposed to do on its own. How and I tell people all the time, listen, guys, I try not to make one better than the other. Everybody's necessary. So if it's gotten to an unmanageable point, I'm going to send you over there. I'm not going to say not to go. I'm not going to take you off your high blood pressure medicine. But what we can do is I can pick up the phone and I can talk to your medical provider that put you on the high blood pressure and say, hey, have you thought about trying this? And let's go and see if we can go backwards before the person's body gets so accustomed to that medicine and that medicine sitting in the pathway in the gate and now their body don't want to work right no more. So it does take being a little bit more aggressive, and sometimes people are very passive when it comes to picking that phone up and let's having this candid conversation with that other doctor and saying, hey, let's make this patient centered. How can we get this patient back to a road where their body is fully functioning on its own without this? So we've gotten them out of the emergency state. All right, the SOS is done. Okay, so how do we get their body to do what it's supposed to do? And that takes a lot of nurturing. I'm really big about the collabos. I even call myself the collab doctor because I'm big on that. I want them to understand what I do. I want to understand more what they do so that we can get to a point where we can pick up the phone with each other and say, hey, I got this case. I think you're the right person for it.
Amen.
So maybe you could tell us, who are some of your heroes and who inspired you to be the version of yourself that you are today? They could be chiropractic or not chiropractic, living or passed on.
My mentor in chiropractic, I will say, was Dr. Clark Stoll. He's no longer with us anymore. He did write the foreword to my book, and he was my chiropractor growing up. All right, so he was my first window of what chiropractic was, and I knew immediately because he took care of me for many years, the kind of doctor that I wanted to be to my patients because I felt like I felt like he was my friend. Even though he may not have been like my bosom buddy at that time, we grew to that as colleagues. But as a little child coming into the office, and this person cared about me so much and would hug me and give me love, and that's big, for a child to see other people in the world love them, and he took care of me chiropractically, but he also took care of me to my soul. And so I knew that that's how I wanted to have that kind of connection with my patients. So definitely him. The other chiropractor that I did my associateship, his name is Jim Godet. He was amazing to me. The amount of knowledge that he imparted in me, hands-on preparation, because I'm a small girl. I'm not tall at all. I'm only 5'2". And at the time that I was in chiropractic school, I may have weighed 109 pounds, so I was really small. And so because of those challenges, tables were tall for me. There was a lot of challenges that I had, and what Dr. Godet did for me was he didn't look at them as challenges, but he looked at them as opportunities for us to get things done and do some things differently. So that was my first introduction to mindset. Was like we're not going to look at what's wrong. We're going to figure out how to, make it right just for me. And that's when I became a better adjuster and a better provider to patients. So those two, Sid Williams, you gotta have him in the list because he just made preparation for me to be able to be at one of the best chiropractic schools in the world to learn from some great, amazing teachers that I had at that particular time. So those are people that are very powerful to me that have made my course into chiropractic what it is right now. But again, no one beats my grandmama. My grandmother is who made me into the woman that I am today. I wouldn't, and I'm about to get a little emotional because she's no longer with us right now, but I hear her daily. This woman talks to me daily. And just the things that she imparted in me, I believe that I have definitely turned into her over the years because of just so much that she imparted in my life. I mean, it was just yesterday. My sister was like, "You sound like Penny Mommy." That's what we used to call her. Their last name was Penniman. So you sound like Penny Mama. I said, I really believe I'm turning into her every day. The way that she took care of her family, the nuggets that she would drop. And we're talking about a woman. She finished high school, but she went back to college in her 40s. All right. So this woman was born in 29. All right. So she went back to college, later and got her education then, but she was dropping all these nuggets, you know what I'm saying? And I definitely hear her every day. I would not be as tenacious or ambitious as I am without her. The other people had an easy path because she prepared me and taught me as how to be a young woman, and I can never repay her for that. She just was an amazing woman.
Well, you said a lot of great things, and I'm just so happy to hear you share with us today. It's an honor to hear your story and your connection to your grandmother. And I think that that overshadows the amount of anything that you could have influential from any chiropractor and any technique. And I love that story so much. And hearing that connection that you had with her is just so special. Um, I know that that's probably some wisdom that there's a lot of young chiropractors that are going to listen to this episode is going to learn from. Back when we were growing up, I'm 42. We were always told to respect our elders. And I think that that paradigm has shifted very much in the past 20 years, specifically as to people having lack of respect for each other. And when you can share that story about learning generational knowledge and old world mindset and what it means for you to be an influence to others around you today, that's really special. And anybody that gets to come and see you is learning from somebody that puts their heart into their services. Um, I guess we're gonna just we got two more questions for you, but one of the things I want to ask you is based on your knowledge right now, what would be some advice you would give to a chiropractic student if they're in school right now or if they're thinking about going into chiropractic school?
Okay, if you're in school right now, please take every opportunity to serve in the clubs that we have on campus. Get out there, learn as many techniques as you possibly can, whether they're ones that you're learning in school or just through club. Be a leader in club because it will teach you so many skills that you would definitely use once you get out of school. take the opportunity and take everybody up on their offer to shadow, come into the office, see how offices work, because everybody's office works different. I said we're all a chiropractic, but we practice chiropractic differently. We run our chiropractic practice businesses differently. So you want to get out there to get your foot wet and taste and see what things feel like over here. If you want to have one that's more centered like a day spa, you can go in one and see what that looks like. Have one that's more centered around children. Go and see how you feel. See how your energy feels in those spaces. Also, when you're a student, everything is cheaper. Everything is cheaper. So you want to make certain that you're taking on those offers from the different associations as they're having conferences and teaching classes to get those student rates. Do it now, because once you get out, they're going to give you this grace period as this first year doctor. All right. So the first year doctor, you get a grace period price for stuff. But once you have been out of school 2 years, that's when the big dollars come out to get more education. So try to get enough stuff information under your belt while you are a student, and learn how to serve others and learn how to become a servant leader. I think that is huge. It is not about egos and shows. It's about how you're going to impart in others and serve.
It's great advice.
So the last question that we have is, what are some of your hobbies? What do you do for fun when you're not adjusting?
I love the theater, and I sing as well. So that's what I do in my part time. I'm in a band. I am the lead singer for that band, and I do a lot of local and regional theater. So I bring all of those wonderful attributes back to my practice with my patients. They never know what's going to happen. We could be in the room together, and I'm like, "Hello," and they're like, "What, Dr. Lisa? What are you doing?" But that's just part of my personality. So I want people to feel very comfortable around me. I don't want folks to have like that white coat syndrome when they're coming in the room. I want them to know that, listen, we are partners, and I'm really big on that. I don't want to know more about your body and what it does than you. So we're gonna make sure that you leave out of here being very knowledgeable and equipped about what's happening with you. So in order to have those real candid conversations with your patient, they got to know they trust you, and you got to be down to earth. You can't be going in there all pompous and stuck up and think somebody's going to share all their intimate information with you, because they're not. They may tell your CA more information, because guess what? They're coming in down to earth. So I need to be that way too. So I come in and I'll just do something really crazy just to break the ice with my patients, so that they know, oh, she's real. She's not. She's a real person.
So do you have a favorite musical?
Okay, so I have so many favorite. Okay, so all right, so if we're going like really, really old school, it's Camelot. So they have a song in Camelot. It's like, what do the simple folks do? I love it. Okay, so I'm a big Julie Andrews fan. She did Camelot. All right, so if it's something more like right now, of course everybody's going to say Hamilton. Hamilton was great. It was awesome. They it was mind blowing. It will be talked about for years because of just of what they did with that piece. All right, so I'm a huge Billy Porter fan. All right. So when they teamed up and with Cyndi Lauper, and they did Harvey Feinstein's Kinky Booth, and had Billy Porter as the lead for Lola, it was amazing. So I love that show. And Cyndi Lauper did such a great job with the music from that show. It's just amazing. So those are some of my favorites. Dear Evan Hansen. Oh my God, that is just, I cry on some of those songs. It's just so endearing. So I love stuff like that. It's just great. The theater, music, music is just a universal language. It's something that we all can get behind. And so that was one of the things that it just as a child it spoke to my soul, it spoke to my spirit, just to be able to perform and to sing. And I'm just so glad that even now at my tender age, I get to still impart that into others. So they can see a glimpse of Anissa and not so much seeing Dr. Nisa all the time.
And where can people go if they want to learn more about you or your coaching? What are some websites you can give us?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Luke. All right. So if you want to connect with me, you can definitely connect with me at drnisa.com. That's DRNISSA.com. It has information on me as a chiropractor, as a speaker, as well as a business consultant and coach. If you want to do a free strategy session with me, whether it's for chiropractic or for as a business coach, you can definitely go to Ask Dr. Nisa. That's AskDrNISSA.com. And on that, you will definitely get some information how to connect with me, a Calendly link to be able to go ahead and see what my times that are available to you so that we can just sit and chat with one another and I can hear about all the wonderful things that you want to do. And I'll be able to tell you how I'm able to help you scale your business to a 6 to 7 figure business without making costly mistakes because that's what I do. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I'm an expert in. I help folks start their business, giving them the blueprint to do so that they don't have to lose the $1.5 million like I did.
Well, from this side of the mic to that side of the screen, I love and appreciate you. I'm so thankful that you were able to share your message and your story today with us on the Chiro Hustle podcast. That's why we do what we do. We protect free speech in the beautiful profession of chiropractic. And we are definitely happy for you to share your personality with us, your stories, and your big why. And I think that that's what makes us unique in this space. Luke and I are not chiropractors, and we run the biggest show for chiropractic stories, and we let people share theirs with our audience. And I'm just really grateful to have you on today, and I look forward to connecting with you time and time again and see where the sky is, because it is the limit, and we can do this together, and we will write the next chapter with you. So I just want to thank you for being our guest today, and like every time, we always like to say, keep hustling.
Thank you so much. This was so awesome. Anytime that I get an opportunity to talk about chiropractic and what it does and how important it is to our world, it just makes me so excited. So thank you so much. This was so much fun. Thank you. All
I'll see you soon, girl.
right. Thank you. Take care.
And if everyone at home wants to learn how to run a podcast just like us, head over to ChiroHustleMasterclass.com.
All right, Dr. Nisa, talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.